In this tutorial, we will look at how to take a simple single level racing game and turn it into a multiple level racing game by linking together several different levels. In the process, we will try to keep as much of our code the same as possible between different levels so that we have less work to do. So we should start off with a Kodu game with a racing circuit. The racing circuit should have a start and end zone, and we should have an artificial intelligence, an AI bot racer that goes up against the player. The player controls the keyboard and the computer controls the other enemy. In the example you can see here, we have a green computer controlled racer and we have a red player controlled racer. When I press escape to start the game, you can see that the enemy racer immediately sets off around the track. Notice that the world direction changed and is not really ideal. So it might be a good idea if we were to go into our settings and fix the camera. Now we have two options when we fix a camera. We actually have three, but two main options. One is to have a chase cam where we will follow the player. And the other is to have a God view where we have a fixed camera. So as you can see there, the enemy got round the track, beat us to the end zone, and therefore we get game over. So I'm going to go into world settings here, and I'm going to come down to camera mode, and I'm going to set up first of all a fixed camera. When I choose the fixed camera with the anchor, I have to then click on this X here for set camera. I have to rotate my world, which is a little bit difficult for me because I'm using a laptop with no mouse. So I can move it, but I can't easily rotate it. Here we go. And maybe a little bit of zoom. No, it's not very easy to zoom this at all with the laptops. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and I'm going to press enter, and that is now the fixed camera position. I'm going to escape out of that, and we know that the enemy can win the game, so I'm also going to just check that the player can win the game. And I'm going to cheat here, so when I start to play, instead of setting off round the track, and notice the track is now in a fixed position, I'm just going to turn round and then drive onto the end zone. So a little bit of a cheat there, and we'll look in level 2 at how to avoid that kind of problem. Okay, so we have our level 1. We should have saved this with a name like level 1. I'm going to do that just now. So save my world. This should be called Racer, I'm just going to say LVL1. And then in my description, I'm going to say, get ready to race, arrow keys to steer. And I'm going to save that. Now to make my multi-level game, I'm immediately going to resave this with a different name. It's really important that we save two versions, our original, and then one that we can make edits to so that we can have a multi-level game. So I'm going to go back to my home menu and save my world. And I'm going to call this one Racer Level 2, and I'm going to say this time in my description, I'm going to put something like Night Racing Challenge. And I'm going to save that. So I have something that looks exactly the same. Let's first of all make some changes that will show that this is our different level by going into World Settings. coming down to sky, and let's maybe make it a bit more of a purplish sky, and then coming down to lighting, and then let's make it, let's go for really dark, and escape. Okay. So we could use this just with the night settings, but what I'm actually going to do is to change the circuit as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into my path tool, and I'm going to point at each of these nodes and press the delete key. Now, it would be nice if there was an easier way to remove our path, but there's not. Notice I'm using the delete key or the del key and not the backspace key to remove each part of this path. So make sure that you are using the delete key when you try to do this. So we're almost there. I'm going to leave these two. No, I'll take the whole thing out. Probably easiest to start with a brand new track. When you delete the world, it is important to leave your start and end zone because these are already set in the conditions for winning and losing the game. So I'm going to choose the brush tool. I'm going to up the size of my brush quite significantly. And then I'm going to right click to delete vast chunks of the world. And I'm only going to leave in the start and end zone that we had before there. I'm then going to come back to look for a suitably nighttime environment. So I want something fairly dark, maybe like this stuff here. And I'm then going to paint in a new world for my racing to take place in. And then I'm going to take my brush right down and I'm going to change to some other type of terrain. Make sure you don't choose anything that's already used for the start and end zone, because that will then obviously break your code and your game will no longer work in the way you intend it to. So I'm going to go for some fairly dark color like this, and I'm going to paint in a track, and this time the track is going to be a bit more of a chicane looping kind of track. And of course I need to then go back to the path tool, and I need to draw a path for my green racer. Make sure you place a node just in front of the racer so that it doesn't turn round and head backwards at the start of the race. Now I'm going to make this a little bit skewed, and that'll give me a more difficult race with the player because he'll have to watch out for this getting in his way. Keeping fairly reasonably closely to the track though, and I want to always make a circuit that joins back to the start in case I decide to do multi-lap races. Remember to stop your path lane, you press the escape key. Okay, if I press escape now, I've maybe gone a little bit too dark for things here, so I will come back into the world settings, and instead of really dark I'm going to maybe just go for lighting night. Yeah, that's a bit more like it. So you can see that the enemy racer is going round as before, and again I can sneakily cheat and turn round and just drive onto the end zone. Okay, so how can we stop the player from just cheating by turning round? Well, one of the things that we could do is we can force them to collect an item as they go round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Objects, and I'm going to go round about halfway around this world, and I'm going to place something that has to be collected by the player, and that something could be perhaps a coin. So I have placed a coin in the world here, and I'm going to come to the player character, and I'm going to program it and say when it's bumped into a coin, more here, yeah. When it's bumped into a coin, I'm going to go to holding, and I'm going to grab it. And now, when I'm on type land, win is no longer good enough. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to take number 4 here, and I'm going to move it up, too far, and I'm going to move it in. And I'm going to say when on land type, let's take this win away by deleting it. So I highlighted it and I used the delete key. When on land type and when got coin, do game win. So what this says is that when I'm on the end zone land, I'll then check whether I've got a coin, and only then should I be able to win. Let's try if that's working. So if I press escape, and sure enough, we set off. I am going to cheat. Oh, I'll try. Look, I'm on the end zone. Nothing's happening. So I'm going to cheat, and I'm just going to head across country and go and get that coin. I've now hopefully picked it up. And then I'm going to cheat by coming across country again. And sure enough, I can win by taking that coin to the end zone. So how can I stop that kind of cheating? Well, obviously I can take maybe some rough and spiky hills, and I can just take this terrain that's in between, and I can make it fairly impassable by doing a good job of spiking it up so that there's no easy way to drive over it. So it will force me to go around the whole track in order to achieve that. Okay, so here's my level 2. I want to go back now and go to save my world. Racer level 2 with night racing challenge. I need to add some more instructions, so collect the coin to win is what I need to add to that, and I'm going to click on save. I'm going to overwrite that file because it's just a new version. So now what I need to do is I need to go back to level 1. So I'm going to go to load world. I should find I'm on racer level 2, but I'm going to go and load racer level 1. When I click on it, I'm going to choose to edit. And instead of winning when I get to the end zone, I need to come to my player character, and I need to say that when on land type end zone, instead of do win, I'm going to change do win to game next level. And it's telling me that I don't have a next level selected. So I now have to click on this, choose level 2, press escape. So next level should now be sorted. And then, very important, I have to go back to, so if I escape that, I have to go back to home, and I have to save my level 1 world that now has a link to the next world. So I'm going to just add to the description and say complete to start level 2. I'm going to save that